How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another video. So I just recently invested into my first infantry pet, and I chose to invest in the venomous lizard. In today's video, I want to discuss why it is that I chose the venomous lizard, and I'll kind of go into a little bit more depth on the other pets and maybe give you some tips to help you decide which one you should work on. So this video is going to be for open field pets. And so for open field, the main pets that you're most likely choosing between are going to be the venomous lizard, the Bruin bear, and the moss rock auroch. Now we also have the striped bear and the moon bear. The striped bear is really tied to Garwood, and if you just want to make a legion as tanky as possible and don't really care too much about merits, this is a pretty good pick. The moon bear, this one is typically used more for rallies and garrisons, but it can really shine in smaller skirmishes. So think of like small battles with like 5 or 10 legions on each side. So kind of like Tournament of Champions, but also some slightly larger brawls. It's a really good option if you're running around with calves and fighting other calf groups. So going back to the venomous lizard. So one thing that I've realized just over the last couple of weeks is that when it comes to infantry pets, the most important skill might not be what you think. So when it comes to like damaged pets, right? So like calf pets and mage pets, the talent skill is insanely important. It's like the most important thing. You choose a build that's going to completely boost that. But with infantry pets, the talent skill still does a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely worth investing into. However, the most important skill on an infantry in open field is definitely advanced counter-strike and counter-strike. The amount of damage that you're going to be dealing with this is going to be much larger than the talent skill. Now, the only exception to this is if you are fighting smaller brawls. If you're doing smaller fights with like less people, then likely your talent skill might do more damage. But when you're being swarmed or attacked by hundreds of people, this counter-strike is what really shines. And so all the skills that I have here, except for the talent skill, are going to be boosting counter-strike and advanced counter-strike. And of course, these also boost the talent skill, so you're really not missing out on a whole lot. Now, why did I decide on the venomous lizard? So I chose the lizard because I felt that this was the pet that would require the least amount of investment. If you go ahead and take a look at the advanced and intense infection skills, intense infection is going to boost the damage of infection. However, you can also just use Tooth and Claw instead, and that's going to increase the damage of your counter-strike. So I would definitely rather go with that. And then Advanced Infection, while this is a really good skill, I don't feel like it's 100% needed, especially when you're being attacked by tons and tons of legions. The less legions that you're being attacked by, then the more valuable that this skill is. And so since I only have a pet that's 7 slots anyways, I knew that I could skip it. I am still undecided on which infantry pet I want to 3-star first. And so I figured that the venomous lizard was a pet that I would be completely happy with keeping at 2 stars. And I wouldn't have to invest too much into it in terms of amber skills than the 3 crystals that I needed for advanced counter-strike. So that's why I went ahead and worked on the venomous lizard. Now let's compare this to something like the Bruin bear. Now the Bruin bear has a really powerful talent skill. However, it was going to be a larger investment in terms of amber skills. And the reason for that is that with the Bruin bear, you definitely want advanced quickening. So it's going to be 4 crystals there. And then you also want the advanced counter-strike, which is going to be another 3 crystals. So that's quite a bit to invest in there. Now, when it comes to the moss rock auroch, this one here, you could argue that maybe you don't want advanced coil and you can go for like Tooth and Claw instead. It just really depends on which of these you end up going for. This skill here can be good. I think there's like some debate on whether to run this one or not. But another reason that I didn't go with this pet is because of how the talent skill works. So let's go ahead and go back to here. So the way that this skill works is that it will only deal damage to enemies that are attacking the legion in melee range. So if you're being attacked by legions that are farther away, you're not going to be dealing damage. However, if the legions are close by, you're going to be dealing a ton. Another thing to note, however, is that the legions that are in melee range do all have to be attacking you. So you could blink into a group of DPS, but if they're not attacking you, you're not going to deal any damage. So it does make this skill a little bit harder to pull off. So this pet is pretty situational. I personally feel that this pet is more so to discourage people from swarming you. Now let's compare this to the Bruin bear. So remember, this one has an attack range of melee. If we go to the Bruin bear, now the Bruin bear actually isn't melee. This will deal damage to enemies in a much larger radius. And one of the differences with the Bruin bear is that this isn't determined by the legions attacking you. It states each counterattack against an enemy legion inflicts 1 stack of barbed wire. And this is what makes this pet really good. So if we go ahead and take a look at Skogul's skills, so let's go ahead and find her here. Her rage skill Blood Fury deals additional diffused counterattack damage every second to all legions at close range. So what this means is you actually only need 1 legion to attack you, and this legion can be far away. And the reason for this is that when that 1 legion attacks you from far away, Skogul's rage skill is going to deal AoE counterattack to legions around it. And all of those legions around it are going to be getting barbed stacks. So that's what makes this pet especially good with Gorge Skogul. And honestly, I probably wouldn't run it on anything else unless you're garrisoning and you don't have a moon bear. So those are the reasons that I went with the venomous lizard. It was going to be the cheapest and quickest to build out of all of the other pets. Now, I still haven't decided which of these pets I'm going to 3-star first. Now, I have a second lizard here that I was considering investing some ambers into for the advanced Counter-Strike. However, I think that I am leaning a little bit more towards building a Bruin bear. I will have to regen this a little bit. But after understanding how this talent skill mechanic works, this seems like a really good pet, even if you're not hitting ranged legions in the same way that the venomous lizard can. So that's going to be the video for today. Hope you found it helpful. Let me know down below which infantry pet you decided to work on first. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below as well. And I'll see you next time.